Well, what is entertainment at the end of the day? Somebody had a busy day at work, they're mentally exhausted, they're tired, they get home, they're like, I just need to sit back and just watch some, I don't know, some highlights, some sports highlights on YouTube, or play some video games, or watch a TV show or something. Just need to let loose a little bit, entertain themselves. Or kids want to be entertained, tell me a story, right? Kids want to be told a story, or they want you to sing a song for them or something like that. And of course, when people get older, they just have the more adult version of the same thing. It's either the music industry or the movie industry or the Netflixes and the Amazons and all of that stuff, right? It's at the end of the day, it's still the same thing that we wanted as a child. You just want the advanced version of it as an adult. But when we're doing that, and somebody says, "What are you doing?" And you say, "All right, let me just relax, okay? I had a long day. Can I just breathe a little? This is just this is me taking a mental break." Right? This is me taking a mental break. Somebody else is doing the work, and by the way, the difference between lahu and la'ib is in la'ib, you're doing the work. You're kicking the ball, you're taking the shot, But in lahu, you're just sitting back and somebody else is doing the entertaining for you. You're just watching and enjoying or listening and things like that. But as you're doing that, what happens sometimes is people get so lost in that they miss an appointment. Or they get so lost in that, they forget to do the groceries. And the store's already closed now. Meaning, the Arabs associated entertainment with distraction because it's always taking you away from something that's more important. Something needed your attention, something needed my attention, and I lost track of time, and before I know it, the time for it is over, right? So the same thing happens, for example, some of you students here, you have an exam coming up, or something. Now there's a break, but before the break you had an exam coming up and you're studying for it, you're like, I need a break. I know the exam is in 4 hours. Let me just turn on the PlayStation for a little bit and just let relax my mind. And before you know it, you're beating the final boss in the game and you beat the entire game and you're 20 minutes late for class and you forget the review. You almost missed the entire exam. I travel a lot. I've actually seen people miss their flights because they had their headphones on and they were just watching something. And then they look up and there's a different city that's boarding. They're like, wasn't this going to Dallas? No, that flight already left. This is going to Miami now. So the idea of lahu is distraction, something that gets my attention, and more important things that had a limited time schedule, they passed me by. The opportunity passed me by. Well, Allah is saying that life is full of this. In other words, in a 24-hour day between waking up and going to sleep, the conscious hours that I have and you have, there are priorities. There are things we have to get done. Every one of us has a to-do list that we need to get done. And what happens is we get distracted. And that to-do list barely gets touched. We get one or two things done, then the mind gets distracted, we do something else, and the things that you really had to do didn't get done. And that's just one day, but then sometimes you're like, this year I'm going to learn some Arabic, or this year I'm going to memorize a couple more surahs, or this year I'm going to do this, and you have these, people are, in the modern world now, people have all these New Year's resolutions, right? We Muslims have Ramadan resolutions or whatever. So we have these resolutions, and you're like, I'm just going to do this. And then next Ramadan comes, it's getting closer, and you're like, so sad, man. I've been making this commitment for 10 Ramadans now, and I just haven't gotten around to, this surah or this ayah or this commitment that I made, or reading this book, or learning more about the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, or something. You made this commitment, you keep putting it off. Something else distracts, something else calls your attention. What the problem with that is our inability to balance, our inability to say, okay, this much time allotted for breathing room, but not enough, not so much that it takes away from important tasks. Some things need to get done. They cannot be compromised. They have to be addressed, right? So Allah says most people, for most of our lives, we look back and we say, I wasted a lot of years, or I wasted a lot of time, or I could have done so much more with my years. I could have done so much more with that time. And then life later on, you get, physically you're less capable. Financially, you're more strained, you're more responsible, there are people depending on you. You don't have the kind of free time you used to have, and now you look back and you're like, I wasted my college years, I wasted my early, pre-married life and all of that stuff. I wasted all that time, and now when you have your children and they're hanging out like you used to hang out, they're like, don't do what I did. Don't waste your time. Actually, you were a bigger waste of time in your years, but that guilt has piled up on you and you're slapping it onto your next generation, right? So this is what lahu does.